Hi everyone, this is part 2 of International Organizations and Conventions, Chapter 2. If you haven't gone through the part 1, I request you to first go through that part and then switch over to part 2. So, we're going to start it now. The International Air Services Transit Agreement 1944. Remember that it was signed at Chicago, and we remember the date now, 7 December 1944, and was ratified by India. Now, each of the contracting state it grants to the other contracting state some technical freedoms of the air for scheduled international air services. There are two technical freedoms of the air. The first freedom of the air is the privilege to fly across the territory without landing. Say for I have to go from place A to place B, and en route is place C, I'll have to fly across its territory of place C and I'm not landing in it. So this is the first freedom. The second freedom is the privilege to land for non-traffic purposes. The privilege to land for non-traffic purposes, that is for such as for refueling or some problem or whatever. The International Air Transport Agreement, it was signed at Chicago but was not ratified by India. Remember this. There are three commercial freedoms of air. The third freedom of the air is the privilege to put down or drop the passengers, the mail, and the cargo taken on in the territory of the state whose nationality the aircraft possesses. This is basically the domestic freedom or the domestic uh, airline, the domestic operations, basically. Yes, the fourth freedom of the air is to take the passengers, mail, and cargo destined for the territory of the state whose nationality the aircraft possesses. This is for international services or operations. Then the fifth freedom of the air is the privilege to take passengers, mail, and cargo destined for the territory of any other contracting state and the privilege to put down passengers, cargo, or mail coming from any such territory. This is to and from for all, that is, for all the domestic services, for all the international operations. Unlawful acts. Convention on the offences and certain other acts that are committed on board the aircraft. This is signed at Tokyo on 14th September 1963. Remember the year 1963. Now this convention it will apply in respect of all the offences against the penal law and the acts which, whether or not they are offences, may or do jeopardize the safety of the aircraft or persons or property therein. This contracting state, I'm really sorry, this convention it shall apply in respect of the offences done by the persons on board an aircraft while in flight or over the surface of high seas, and it shall not apply to the aircraft which is used in the custom, police, or military services. Remember, aircraft in flight it means from the time the power is applied for takeoff till the landing run, but it does not include chocks off. Now come on to the Hague Convention. What is the Hague Convention? The Convention for the Suppression of the Unlawful Seizure of the Aircraft that defines the act of unlawful seizure and the measures that are to be taken by the contracting states to enforce severe punishment upon perpetrators. This you just read, nothing to learn in this. Then comes the Montreal Convention of 1971. It is for the suppression of the unlawful acts against the safety of civil aviation. This is for all the offences that are committed, that commit acts of violence on board aircraft that would endanger the safety of the people and property and that of the aircraft, destroy an aircraft in service or in flight, or that causes the damage that will render the flight incapable of flying, that will render the aircraft incapable of flight, which is likely to endanger the flight safety. This also just go through once, nothing to remember. Then comes the Montreal Protocol. If some such a device or substance is used that will likely cause serious injury or death or destroy or seriously damage the facilities at an airport or of the aircraft which is not in service at the airport to disrupt the services at an airport. The Montreal Convention, to this we've done, it has been ratified by India. The Tokyo Convention, the Hague Convention, Montreal Convention and Protocol ratified by India. Now, India organizations. The Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. It is located at Rajiv Gandhi Bhavan at Safdarjung Airport in New Delhi. It is for the formulation of national policies and programs of civil aviation. It is responsible for the administration of the various acts such as the Aircraft Act 1934, the Aircraft Rule 1937, and various other. It has various autonomous organizations attached, such as the DGCA, Directorate General of Civil Aviation, the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, and IGRUA, Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy, the National Aviation Company of India Limited, the AAI, and Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited, the Director General of Civil Aviation DGCA. It primarily deals with the safety issues. It is responsible for the air traffic services to or from within India and to enforce the civil aviation air regulations, the safety and airworthiness standards. Okay. So if there is some accident, so DGCA, that person is liable to answer the questions from DGCA, is called to DGCA. If there is some pilot error, the captain is called along with the first officer, but the captain will be the one who is responsible for the safe conduct of the flight, so he'll be answerable. And also he'll be given corrective trainings, and then only he'll be released to take part in flight operations. Now, then is the Airports Authority of India. It was formed on 1st April 1995. The objective of Airport Authority of India (AAI) is to provide the provisions of Aeronautical Information Service publication of AIP, Aeronautical Information Publication, the NOTAMs, the AIREX, and PIBs. Convention for the Unification of Certain Rules Relating to International Carriage by Air, signed at Warsaw on 12 October. This applies to all the international carriage of persons, their luggage, and goods performed by aircraft for reward. It applies equally to gracious carriage by aircraft. The next we have to do is liability of the carrier. Liability of the carrier. The treaty, it imposed some limitations on liability of the operator. However, where gross negligence can be proved, limit of liability is removed. Currently, limit if liability for death of a passenger is Singaporean dollars 1 lakh. And as per the Montreal Convention 1999, no financial limits to the liability for passenger injury or death. For damages up to 1 lakh 13,001, 100 Singaporean dollars, the air carrier cannot contest claims for compensation. The Convention of Rome 1952. You'll definitely find the questions on this. So what does the Rome Convention states? It basically states the responsibility of the operator and the pilot regarding the damage to the person and goods on the ground by third party, by the aircraft, third parties on surface of the ground. Then we'll discuss that in the questions only and definitely make a video for the question of every chapter. Question banks I'll discuss. Then commercial practices and associated rules. Leasing. What is a lease? It is basically an agreement by the person, the lessor, to furnish an aircraft to another person, the lessee. What is a dry lease? It is a lease agreement where the lessor provides an aircraft without crew to lease. Wet lease is an agreement whereby lessor provides the aircraft along with the entire crew to lease for a specified period or defined number of flights. Damp lease, it is a lease agreement whereby lessor provides an aircraft with partial crew to the lessee. Military aircraft, it includes the naval, military, and air force aircraft, and every aircraft commanded by a person in naval, military, or air force service detailed for the purpose. So here we've completed the chapter. I'll record other video for the question bank of this chapter. Thank you.